Arne Slot has one serious addiction. He just can't stop collecting points. 6 consecutive Champions League wins under his belt, and we're already through to the round of 16, and, the cherry on top, we came out of this game unscathed, with no new injuries. Honestly, that might have been even better news than the 3 points themselves. But was it smooth sailing? Absolutely not. This is the Champions League after all, nothing comes easy here. So whether you missed the match, want to know how the Reds secured their qualification, or you're curious about yet another Darwin Nunez issue, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and let's dive straight into this video. Now, we never thought we'd say this, but what a good weekend that it was with Liverpool not able to play. Yes, the Merseyside derby was postponed due to the weather, but look at what happened to Arsenal and Manchester City. Liverpool actually won without stepping on the pitch. But it seems like Arne Slot doesn't care that we had the weekend off, or we went into this Girona game already sitting pretty at the top of the Champions League phase. Because that starting 11 was without a doubt our strongest possible lineup. But you know what? It makes sense. After the unexpected break we had, a quick kick around the park wouldn't hurt anyone. If anything, it helps keep the team in rhythm. Resting key players for this game would have meant giving them a week and a half break leading into the Fulham match this weekend. And let's be real, nobody wants to come out cold against Silver's side. Alisson returned to the lineup, finally back between the posts after a long injury layoff. The backline was as solid, with Joe Gomez, Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson holding it down. In midfield, the usual trio of Ryan Gravenberch, Curtis Jones and Dominic Szoboszlai got the nod. And up front, Mo Salah, Luis Diaz and Darwin Nunez formed their attacking line. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Just because we fielded our strongest team doesn't mean we're in for a stroll in the park. Sure, we almost scored early on through a Joe Gomez header in the first 10 minutes, but Girona quickly grew into the game. In fact, by the end of the first half, you could argue they had the better chances. By the way, that header from Joe Gomez, that was probably the closest he's ever come to getting his name on the score sheet, wasn't it? And what a moment it could have been, rising above everyone to meet the ball so perfectly. It would have been a brilliant goal, no doubt about it. But let's shift our focus to how the Reds approached breaking down Girona. By now we all know Arne Slot tailors his tactics to each opponent. Sometimes the team opts to go long from goal kicks in deeper areas. Other times we focus on maintaining possession, circulating the ball among the back four in the familiar 4-1 build-up shape. Against Girona, it was the latter approach, and it showed in the numbers. We ended the first half with 61% possession. The plan was clear: create gaps in midfield and get Gravenberch on the ball so he could work his magic with those silky turns of his. Let's be honest though, so far this season, only Newcastle has really managed to shut that down, with Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali taking turns in pressing him relentlessly. Yesterday, however, Gravenberch was in full flow, especially in the early stages of the game. His ability to turn under pressure was on full display, and it was a joy to watch. You can see here that Gravenberch was absolutely pivotal for our central progression. Time and time again he received the ball with his back to play, turned on a dime and burst forward with pace, slicing through Girona's defence with his pinpoint passing. That's exactly how we created the early chance for Darwin, and it was the primary way we managed to break through Girona's lines in the opening stages. However, as the minutes ticked by, Girona adapted. They started putting 2 men on Gravenberch to nullify his impact. And while that successfully clogged the middle, it opened up a new route for us down the left flank through Luis Diaz. Unfortunately, it wasn't as effective as we'd hoped. Girona quickly adjusted again, doubling up on Diaz whenever he entered the final third and limiting his ability to create. Without the ball, it was business as usual for us. We stuck to our typical approach, choosing specific moments to press aggressively, particularly from goal kicks. But there's something we need to highlight about Darwin Nunez. No, this isn't about the missed chances or errant passes. This is about his pressing game. Darwin is intense, relentless, and will run himself into the ground for the full 90 minutes if needed. But as much as his effort is undeniable, there's a flaw in his pressing technique that needs fine-tuning. When Liverpool aim to pin an opponent to one side during their build-up, Darwin is often the one tasked with marking a curved run to block the passing options to the opposite flank. The issue is, his curved runs aren't always precise enough to close off those key lanes effectively. Take this instance against Real Madrid for example. Instead of properly shutting down the passing lane, Darwin got too focused on chasing the ball itself. This gave Courtois just enough time and space to bypass his press, playing the ball against the flow of Darwin's run. It might seem minor, but moments like this can turn the tide in big games. Yesterday we saw something similar happen again. Girona exploited the same mistake, using the space created by Darwin's misaligned press to dribble back against the direction of the pressure. Now, it's not a glaring issue yet, but if we're noticing this pattern, so will other teams, and that could lead to problems down the road if it isn't corrected. That said, despite our control for most of the first half, the closing stages turned into a bit of an end-to-end slugfest. Thankfully, we managed to regain composure after half-time and completely flip the script in the second half. It was all us. We practically laid siege to Girona's defensive third. As we mentioned earlier, once Girona adjusted to Gravenberch by putting 2 men on him, our first option to progress the ball became the wide areas. And in the second half, that approach really came to life. Once we entered the final third, we absolutely suffocated the home team, piling on wave after wave of pressure against their low block. You can see here just how high Van Dijk was playing in the second half. This positioning didn't just allow Gravenberch and Szoboszlai to push further forward and make dangerous runs into the box, it also gave us a crucial advantage in pinning Girona back. With Virgil van Dijk stationed so high, he was constantly recovering the ball in advanced areas, effectively stopping Girona from escaping from their own half. It was like having an extra midfielder orchestrating the game, and it made a massive difference in keeping the pressure on. In fact, the entire sequence that led to the penalty, Luis Diaz 1, began with Van Dijk recovering possession. You can see him here stepping up to reclaim the ball, immediately shifting the momentum back in our favour. From there, he played a simple yet effective pass to Robertson, who after a quick exchange with Curtis Jones, whipped in a dangerous cross into the box. That's where Van der Beek made the critical error, ultimately gifting us the penalty opportunity. It all started with Van Dijk's anticipation and ability to read the game so high up the pitch. From that point on, the game became much easier to manage. We maintained control of possession and varied our approach to keep Girona guessing. Rather than staying camped high up the pitch at all times, we occasionally played the ball back, giving ourselves a breather and creating opportunities to attack behind Girona's defensive block. The mix of patience and precision kept us firmly in charge. The stats, if you didn't catch the game, tell the full story. We had 62% possession, an XG of 1.89, 15 shots, and created 4 big chances. Dominant numbers, no question about it. And with this win, we're officially through to the Champions League round of 16 with 2 games to spare. That gives us the luxury of rotating the squad, however, we'll want to win the remaining fixtures. Now that we secured our spot on the European stage, it's time to extend the gap between us and our rivals in the league after both City and Arsenal dropped points. Yeah guys, we're still calling City as potential title contenders, just out of respect, and Liverpool have been burnt twice. Now hopefully this won't bite us back because we all know how tough Fulham is under Marco Silva. That's why we're extremely happy to get out the Girona game with no injuries. So do you think we'll get a more comfortable lead this weekend, or will Fulham cause us an upset just like they did against Arsenal? And whilst we're at it, let us know who do you want us to face in the next round of the Champions League. Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you haven't already, do hit that like and subscribe button for more Liverpool content. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Take care.